Okay, well, yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? But when you look at Manchester City's defensive options in comparison, is it very clear which side needs Marc Guehi the most?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And I guess that's why this has come to the fore again in recent days, because you look at the absences at the moment of Dias, of Gvardiol, the fact that John Stones, you never quite know where you are fitness-wise. Kuzanov has struggled to prove himself of the appropriate level so far, even though he's one for the future, I would argue. And then you've got the recall for Max Allain, who's done very, very well at Watford. But we're talking about a massive step up, him coming from the Championship into the middle of a Premier League title race.
And we've got Nico Gonzalez on there because Pep said he might have to play him at centre-back the other day. Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's clear where they are. It's good that Nathan Ake didn't accept that move to West Ham on loan, I suppose, at least for the moment. So it's clear who Marc Guehi is worth the most to in move to West Ham on loan, I suppose, at least for the moment. So it's clear who Marc Guehi is worth the most to in this month. City have got an opportunity. They've got to go in all guns blazing in terms of fee and in terms of wages to make it irresistible to
Well,
to
35 million was the number in the summer. Do you think Man City might even have to offer that same again?
Maybe more.
More?
Maybe more.
More than in the summer?
Yeah, because Palace know exactly how much Manchester City need him at the moment. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Part of the Arsenal interest, or the acceleration of the Arsenal interest, must be dictated by, can we let City get him? I mean, as James says, I think you look at that list of centre-backs and you think, how much longer will Ben White be there, for example? Has Hincapié impressed enough to have a long-term future there, even though he's had some really, really good moments in the last month or two? But part of it has to be, we have got this golden opportunity to win the Premier League, and let's get ahead of them.
How about in Europe as well? Because we've often heard that big clubs in Europe have been interested in Marc Guehi, the likes of Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, a name that keeps coming up. If we look at Bayern's defensive options, where does Marc Guehi fit into that if he comes in? Is he a definite starter?
Arsenal have been in his ear. PL star expected to snub Man City transfer. Arsenal have approached Crystal Palace centre-back Marc Guehi about a free transfer to the Emirates Stadium in the summer. As first reported in my daily briefing exclusive here, Guehi is a target for Manchester City this January, but has not yet made a final decision on a move. The England international has been taking his time over a possible exit this month, and the feeling from my sources in the industry is that he's leaning towards waiting until becoming a free agent in the summer. That could give Arsenal the edge in the race to sign Guehi, though Liverpool have also previously been in a strong position for the 25-year-old. City have made a bid and want Guehi to join now, my source said. The fee is not expected to be an issue, but the player isn't fully on board. Arsenal have been in his ear about waiting until the summer, and although there's been no final decision yet, that's generally felt to be the direction he's leaning towards. Arsenal hijacking Manchester City's Marc Guehi transfer? Guehi may still end up moving to the Etihad Stadium this winter, but for the time being, there are perhaps signs that he hasn't been entirely sold on the potential deal. City are still waiting for a response as they try to get a deal done as quickly as possible, but this latest update should give some hope to the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool. It is also understood that Bayern Munich also have a concrete interest in Guehi, so it could be that he's simply keeping all his options open for when he's out of contract in a few months' time. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has, however, pulled off similar tricks before when he played a key role in persuading Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi to snub other offers for moves to the Emirates Stadium. Do Arsenal even need Marc Guehi? AFC have plenty of defensive depth as it is, with Guehi not exactly looking like someone likely to start a lot of games ahead of either one of William Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes. Even without those two available, Arsenal have a long list of backups who can fill in there, such as Christian Mosquera, Piero Hincapié, Jurrien Timber, Ricardo Calafiori, and Ben White. Guehi may well be tempted to work under Arteta at this exciting and ambitious Arsenal project, but he would surely get more playing time at City, Liverpool, or Bayern. Expert lip reader reveals what Rice said to Arsenal coach in heated clash at halftime. Despite leading 1-0 at the halftime break, Rice appeared far from content with his side's performance in the tunnel. The London-born ace, widely regarded as one of the best midfielders in world football, clashed with Stuyvenberg, known as AirPod Albert, and footage has now emerged. As seen below, there were plenty of strong words exchanged between the 27-year-old before Gabriel Magalhaes was forced to step in and defuse the situation. The defender placed himself in the middle of the altercation, but Rice continued to shout and gesticulate. Jeremy Freeman, an expert lip reader, has exclusively revealed what Rice said to Stuyvenberg during the clip. The ex-West Ham United captain began the sequence by saying, "Just go," before Gabriel blurts out, "Stop, please stop, please stop," in the direction of the Arsenal coach. "For fuck's sake," is what followed from Rice, who was animated throughout the entire altercation as his teammate asked him to remain as calm as he possibly could. According to Freeman, Rice then threw out a 10-word insult. Footage of the fiery encounter ends with Gabriel saying, "Calm, hey, stop, hey, calm." Stuyvenberg has been beside Arteta in the dugout since 2019, and his moniker, AirPod Albert, is as a result of him regularly wearing a wireless earpiece during matches. Arteta and Stuyvenberg, who spent 13 years at Feyenoord before being Louis van Gaal's assistant manager at Manchester United between 2014 and 2016, struck up a friendship when studying for their UEFA A coaching licenses in Cardiff with the Football Association of Wales. Following the midfielder's substitution in the 82nd minute of play, when Arsenal had theoretically put one foot into the final at Wembley Stadium, Rice and Stuyvenberg embraced on the touchline, suggesting they'd let bygones be bygones for the betterment of the North Londoners. Could fiery Rice inspire silverware success? Is this what Arsenal have been lacking? Since Arteta's arrival, the club have only picked up one piece of major silverware, the FA Cup in 2020, and that's despite spending a huge sum of money on new arrivals, such as Rice himself. But Rice does bring some needed needle. Arsenal have now finished runners-up in back-to-back-to-back Premier League campaigns, and 25-26 could be their best-ever chance of winning silverware. They are, at the time of writing, sitting at the top of the English top flight, 6 points ahead of second-placed Manchester City and still in all 3 cup competitions. Trophy winners need character, of course, and Rice could be the driving force for the London club. Not only did Rice clash with an Arsenal staff member, but he was also spotted trying to get a bite out of the Stamford Bridge contingent after the Gunners scored their first of the affair. Mikel Arteta hints at new Arsenal injury boosts for Nottingham Forest clash. Gunners' fitness issues may continue to clear ahead of City ground visit in the Premier League. Arsenal did not suffer any fresh fitness setbacks on Wednesday night as they beat Chelsea 3-2 in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final tie, with William Saliba and Leandro Trossard both starting after shaking off respective knocks that saw them miss the FA Cup win at Portsmouth. Arsenal remained without the likes of defenders Ricardo Calafori and Piero Hincapié, as well as centre-back Christian Mosquera and youngster Max Daumann. However, they could yet be boosted by more returns on Saturday evening as the Premier League leaders travel to the City ground, hoping to extend their 6-point lead at the summit. It might be, Mikel Arteta said to reporters on Friday morning when asked if it was possible that any of Arsenal's injured cohort could be back to face struggling Forest. "I need to meet now with the medical staff. We have a training session now, and we will see if somebody is available for the weekend. I cannot tell you." Calafori is a regular starter for Arsenal at left back, but hasn't played since the Carabao Cup quarter-final win with Crystal Palace before Christmas due to an unspecified knock. He was named in the team to face Brighton in the Premier League 4 days later, only to withdraw during the warm-up as Miles Lewis-Skelly took his place. The Italian international has missed the last 6 matches across all competitions. Hincapie, who had been filling in for Calafiori on the left, last featured in the goalless draw with Liverpool last week, limping off shortly before the hour mark with a hamstring issue that kept him out against both Portsmouth and Chelsea. Mosquera and Dowman are longer-term absentees, with Mosquera having suffered an ankle injury during the 2-0 win over Brentford in early December. 16-year-old Dowman, meanwhile, sustained ankle ligament damage while playing for Arsenal's under-21 side in a friendly against Manchester United last month. Arteta said before the game against Chelsea that Mosquera and Dowman had very similar injuries and were both a few weeks away from resuming training. He said that Calafiori's return was probably a matter of weeks, though he didn't know when Hincapie would be back.